Hello again, this is John Ballantyre, back with another video. So this one is kind of in two parts. At the beginning I want to give you a tip for the best way to begin any reading, and then at the end I want to give you some details about an online class that I'm putting together. First the tip, the brilliant tip, and I call it this because I mentioned it in a class one day and somebody said, "That's brilliant, we should tell everybody." So I'm about to tell you a certain number of people on YouTube. So you've discussed the question with the questioner, and you know what spread you're going to use, and you know what kind of answer you want to give. But before dealing with the question, you say to the questioner, pick a number between 0 and 22 and tell me which one. So they tell you the first number that pops into their mind, whatever it happens to be. So we know that what we're really asking for, or what we're going to get, is a major trump, right? So 0 to 21 is the cards that we know, and 22 is like the fool as well. So 0 is the fool at the beginning of the cycle, and 22 is the fool at the end, after the world, right? And that may be something that you haven't really thought about before, and it's worth considering. So the questioner may not consciously know the meanings of numbers or the significance of numbers, but the subconscious mind does. So if they're doubtful, you can maybe explain this to them later. So what you're doing is you're really getting information from the questioner and taking your lead from some part of the question that knows the answer, right? So what you're going to tell them is personalized, right? And it's relevant to that person at that time, and that's one of the important things, because we all have various worries at different times. So today you may be concerned about a relationship, but then at the end of the week you realise you're no longer worrying about that particular individual, and maybe you're more concerned about work conditions, or so the focus of your thoughts, or the focus of our thoughts, and what the kinds of problems we're concerned about, it changes from maybe from day to day, certainly from week to week. So what's good advice today to deal with a particular problem may not be particularly relevant or important or useful the next day, right? Because you're maybe not that concerned about the problem, or not as concerned as you were earlier, or maybe your thoughts have even changed and you're not particularly concerned about that, and you've got something else you're worried about, right? So the important thing is that the number that the questioner chooses gives you, the reader, information about what they need to know about right now, okay? And that's why it's important, and it's going to help the questioner zero in on what's important now and into the near future. But we're not saying that this is the only thing that's important, just that it's significant right now. Okay? So the person picks a number, and you explain that some cards in the deck, some of the major trumps, have numbers, and you choose whatever card it was that corresponds to the number that the person chose. And then you say, let me tell you a bit about what you chose. So the number that you chose and the card that goes with it is describing the way you are right now, or going into the near future. And it offers advice, or it points to what you're going to be like, or how you should be acting. Now, I just said should be acting. Some readers don't like to tell people what to do, or don't like to use the word should. So instead, say to the questioner, if you act in such and such a way based on the card or the number that you chose, then you're going to be happy later that you did so. So let's say somebody picks a number 16, right? And you find, so you take out the Tower card, okay? And you put it on the table where the questioner can see it, or can see the picture, and then you start talking about it. The thing is, you're not trying to remember meanings, or you're not trying to prove how much you know about esoteric philosophies. And you're not trying to explain the deepest and ultimate secret of the card. This is partly because people generally want to know how to live a bit better in one or two areas of life. So all they need is a push, or a little bit of help. They don't need ultimate truth. So you can speak in very ordinary terms about the card or the symbolism in the card that the person, or the number that the person shows. So you look at the picture and describe it, and you talk, and you trust that you're going to mention the right thing. So as a reader, just relax, because you're going to be very pleased later that you did a good reading, even though you were just talking about what was in front of you on the card and helping the questioner to see the sense of it. So I'm saying start with the picture, okay? There's a tower, and we've got various bits and pieces of symbolism on it. So start with the picture, and don't try and remember words or ideas that somebody else wrote, or stuff that somebody else told you. Because if you try to bring to mind somebody else's meanings, maybe you'll be talking correctly about the card, but it's not going to be about the questioner. And it also won't be in a language that the questioner can understand. Because I recently read something about the emperor, and somebody said that the emperor, for instance, is the soul cleansed by self-restraint. Right, that sounds great, but it's too much, because the soul cleansed by self-restraint, this may or may not be true, but it leads to so many questions, because what is the soul? Can we know it, or is it just a word that people use without knowing what it means? And if it's the soul, does it even need to be cleansed? So if you start talking in language like that, it may sound good, but I don't think it's particularly helpful or relevant to the questioner. So we shouldn't try to give the ultimate and most secret meaning of the major trump, mainly because it won't help the questioner, because most of the things we need to be doing are really quite normal and not that esoteric. And the tarot is good for getting us back on track, right? Or getting us into harmony with ourselves. And that's important. So telling somebody, I've got the Sun card here. Telling somebody to, if the Sun card comes up, and tell them it's important to set goals. Or if the Hermit comes up, it's important to spend time alone. Those two bits of advice may not seem to be that important, but they are, because the person set the ball rolling by choosing the number 19 or the number 9. So it's pertinent. It's directly significant for them right now. So we go back to the person who picked 16. We'll look at the picture on the card and talk about what we see there right now. So we could talk about the lightning up here, or the tower, or the man and the woman, or the falling out of the tower, and so on. So at the same time, we're not trying to force anything, so just relax. So we might talk about the crown, for instance, if our eyes are attracted to it. So we say, this card is for you, or it represents you and your life now or in the near future. So we've got, for instance, a crown. So the crown can mean that crown is obviously the king, right? So if you have ideas for taking charge, a king, or being in control, you should probably rethink those ideas, because if you try to follow through with them, with what you think right now, you're not going to get the result that you expect, because of the nature of the Tower card, the upset and destruction that it shows. So this particular card, it can show that you're struck by lightning and are left with a pile of rubble to be sorted through. Or the more sensible approach is dismantle what you've got and reassemble it better and stronger. So if you have ideas of being in charge, they're probably not going to work the way you think right now, but if you examine your ideas and maybe fix them up a bit, or make little improvements here and there, you're going to end up with something that's much better and stronger. So the questioner might be thinking of how to get control of one of their children, okay, or they may be a member of a group or a team, and they want to have more say in how things are being run and the decisions that are being made, or they may have a plan to become well known, all of which can relate to the crown. So you, the reader, don't need to know the actual conditions that the person's thinking about, but what you say will make sense to the questioner. and they'll then have the chance to make changes or to improve the situation. Or you might see the lightning and talk about the lightning up here and say that lightning is a sudden burst of energy, so that you may say to them that a sudden burst of energy can be too much to handle. So it may be wise to slow down or take a break. So when you come back to your situation, you aren't quite as intense later as you are right now. So you can add life to the situation without overwhelming it. Because that's kind of like what the lightning strike is. It's a whole bunch of energy, concentrated energy, but it's too much to handle at that moment. So I'm saying, ask for a number and then start with part of the picture and just talk in the moment without thinking that you have to remember what an expert said, or you don't have to remember what you said the last time you saw the card. But talk and listen to what you're saying, because it's going to be an awful lot better than you thought. And you're going to say things that you didn't know that you knew, and you're going to make connections that you didn't know you were able to make. The other thing is that the number the person chooses can be like a background to the question being asked. So with 16 in the tower, the general advice might be to dismantle and then rebuild, rather than try to make something of the situation right now, because it's probably not going to work. If you choose 4 or 19, those are strong cards, and so you can tell the questioner you're capable and strong and optimistic. So if you have plans to expand right now, go for it. Don't wait for the condition to be perfect, because acting now will get you the results that you want, and you can always adjust later. Right? So that's based. So you can speak to the person and give them useful information for right now based on the number that you chose, that they chose rather. So that's the tip, the brilliant tip. And just to finish up, I'd like to mention that I'm putting together an online tarot class. It's taken a bit of time to figure out what the content is going to be, but I've done that now, and I've made some of the videos. So the idea is to take you from when you first take anybody, from first wondering about learning the tarot, through all the steps and questions that you might have, up to the point of doing a reading. And I deal with 3 spreads: yes, no, past, present and future, and the Celtic cross. And that's all you need. So it's a class, but it's not just me talking and you listening, because there are follow-up exercises, and if you take the time to do them, you're going to quickly get beyond the beginner stage. So if you're learning anything, Photoshop, Microsoft Word, whatever it happens to be, anything, we all want a manual in the beginning with all the answers, because we don't trust ourselves. We don't know enough. So I'm going to show you how to write your own manual so you can read with confidence. But there's a certain amount of work involved and effort too. So I used to teach a report writing class in a local college, and I would write the word learn on the board. And then I would ask the class, how do you learn anything? And then I would erase the first letter of learn, and you end up with EARN, because I wanted to make the point that how you learn anything is you've got to earn it, right? And that means that if you don't put in the time and the effort, you won't really get anywhere worth going. So if you want to be informed directly about the class, you have to email me, bllntr@yahoo.com. There's going to be some information at thetarot.ca, but I'm sort of redoing it, and I haven't done much yet, but maybe there'll be something there. The other thing is, it's best to let me email you directly rather than go through YouTube, although that could work as well. So that's it for the moment. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.